Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. I've been busy for about the past weekish and a half with stuff not down here in the shop. That if you guys saw that one video where I had the storm outside and was trapped down in here for about a half hour before it stopped. The tree that dropped the 5 limbs on the roof, good friend of mine I've known for decades. He does tree trimming. And so he's got the gear, so instead of hiring somebody to come on in to drop that tree, we're doing it. He's climbing the tree and I'm lowering the limbs and the branches. So it's no damage yet to anything. It's just it's interesting. It's a whole lot of work. So we got about 1/3 of it down. We got 2 more thirds to go, so it's going to take a while. And the weather today is not cooperating. It's raining right now outside, and I think the wind gusts are supposed to be between 30 and 40 miles an hour, so it's not a good day. So anyway, let me bring you up to date on where I am at. I came down in the shop and worked on it for probably about an hour and a half one day after work. I got the rest of the top sheeted. So I decided not to sheet it all the way across. I'm leaving these bays open, and I just put the rib caps up on here. So it's going to be fine. You know, I just decided let's just go ahead and we'll do it, so I've got access in here just in case. So anyway, I ran fishing line. I think it's fishing line. It's a Dacron line. I've got a whole bunch of it from a good old friend of mine. That it's still here, Johnny. If you want it, come on down. So what I did is I put that in here and I just tack glued it to a couple little spots. You can see up inside there. So when it comes time to pull the wires through, I've got this all hooked together, and I've got the landing gear hooked. There we go, and I got the landing gear, the wires holding the landing gear too. You can see one glued right there. So it's going to be pretty easy to go ahead and get everything pulled through when that time comes. So what we're going to do today is we are going to attach it to the fuselage. So I got to put the little pins in, the pegs that hold everything in place. So I spent a whole lot of time making sure that everything was properly lined up. Now, I'm going to show you a picture. It's going to be right about there. This material is, if you've ever been on a commercial airline, the material that your seat's attached to and that your cargo sits on top of. They use corrugated aluminum panels inside aircraft. I worked with a guy who was a mechanic for United Airlines. Don't know if he still is, but he had a piece of this and he gave it to me. So I ended up gluing this to a piece of wood, and it's a straight edge that I trust because you can come out and measure it any time. It's flat, so it's good stuff. So I use this for measuring. So for the wings, for the rotation side to side, measured off the tail, I'm within 1 millimeter on that. And when you do the wingtips on this panel board right now, I'm dead on. I'm happy with the way it's set up. So in order to reach this, a regular drill bit didn't have enough room. I've got one of these little evil extensions, and it works really good. So I'll get my drill, come on in, and then I'll just run it right through here and drill these 2 holes out, then I can put the pegs in. Once this is taken care of, then I got to get the whole shop kind of resituated and get the other building plans out so we can start working on the tail end of the fuselage. And I'll probably start at the bottom first. I'm going to leave this part back here completely wide open. This will be the very last thing that gets sheeted on the fuselage, because when I'm running I think it's like golden. I think they give you a Sullivan goldenrod for the control rods going to the back. I'm going to make sure all this is properly in and secured the way I want it before I go ahead and cover before I sheet the bottom. So yeah, so let me get this thing attached. I'll leave this camera running, and then as soon as these things are drilled through here, I'm going to go ahead and I'll get the shop reset up and I'll bring it back. So let's get this done first, with the hopes that all still, once again, will go well. Okay, the holes are drilled. So let me get the shop. And of course, you get noise on the inside, but that little bit of noise is all over the string. So, all right, so these things are in. So I'll go ahead and get them adjusted. Anyway, I think I'll probably have to make these just a little bit bigger. There we go, just a little bit bigger, so that these things will fit in there nicely. Because you want them snug, but enough room so that you can get epoxy down inside there and get these things glued into place. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in. Excuse me, I'm going to come on in with, it might just be the Dremel tool and little cutoff wheel. Or I could do it with a saw. I'm going to do some little cuts through here, just so that when you get the epoxy down inside with the balsa, all this will be solid. Now, what I may do is, before I even epoxy it, I may, once these things get it out to the whole size I want, I might just wick some thin CA down inside to harden it up. So that way when everything gets epoxied inside, it's got some tooth inside here for all this stuff to hold on to. So, all right, anyway, let me get the shop set up and I'll bring you right back.
1 week later.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. It's a Sunday night. It's been a long day. I was kind of hoping the weather would be good for working on that tree a little bit more, but it's been raining. It's raining today, my next day off Tuesday, raining again. So with the weather dropping down to, we're going to start dropping down below freezing. It's the lowering of the rest of the tree might be done for the year, so we just got to wait and see what happens. Anyway, so today I was able to pretty much put a lot of time into what I want to do to the fuselage. I've already got the wing drilled with little pegs. You already saw that part from last week. So what I did is, let me kind of show you the changes I'm going to make to the tail, because I've got to put a wheel on the tail that didn't have one originally. So now I'm putting more weight on the tail, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to make some changes on how the horizontal stabilizer is put together, how the elevator, how the rudder is going to stay the same, but the vertical stabilizer is going to change. And it's going to save me about an ounce, or maybe a little over an ounce of weight with what I'm changing to the tail. But then I'm going to have to put the wheel on, and this is why I wanted to take some weight off, because the wheel itself, I did not weigh it out. But I'm going to say it's probably going to be about an ounce, at least an ounce, maybe 1.2 ounces with the wheel and the wire. So I wanted to take some weight off the back, because I was going to have to be putting more on the back. So let me go ahead and I will I'll get everything set up on the bench, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do to it and why I'm going to do it. Alright, let me give you a little heads up on what I've gotten done with the fuselage to this point. I went the little tri-stock, I came in, I shaved some of it off just to give myself more clearance to put the battery in. And then back here, I cut it out entirely, and I came in and just put some, it's pretty much some 3/8, it's almost a heavy balsa. It had some good weight to it. So I took that out, glued that in, because when I put the cockpit section in, I want this part back here so that when the sheeting goes on top, I'll have some little rails underneath to push up against the side of this to keep it from moving back and forth, because once everything's put in here, I've got to sand everything to shape. So the more I can have the cockpit area up front wanting to not slide back and forth, because I'll put some little tack glue with some masking tape just to make sure that it's going to be firm here. So I don't foresee any issues, but I want to make sure that that is set up really good before I start sanding. Now, what I'm going to do, so I don't forget about this, this is going to be the battery tray. It's going to sit down inside here. I just haven't figured out how I want to attach it down here, because I really don't know if I want to glue it or just make it so it's removable. I may just put some hard points in where I can run a screw through it. So, but anyway, so there's a lightweight little tray, and then it's designed, and I wish I had a better camera angle for you, but when you put the battery in, we can go all the way up to the front, or we can move it back about 2.5 inches. So I'm hoping that that's going to be where it's going to need to be. I'd rather have it a little bit farther forward or in the middle, but we'll find out when time comes. That's why I'd like to make this so that it's removable. So if I need to make a new one to extend the battery farther back, that won't be a problem. All right, I put the servo tray, that's already put in, and that's giving me a little bit more support. Here, there is still nothing up front. You can see it flex. Until I know where the battery is going to sit in, this is going to remain open for right now. It probably will never be a problem in the future, but until I know where it needs to be, because if the battery is going to come back to here, I'll put a little, just put a cross brace here behind the battery, so you know, so it's solid, but it's not going anywhere. All right, now let me show you changes that I need to make, and hopefully you're going to be able to see this well through the camera. Let me just make sure that you're focused down, and I think you are. Let's just go ahead and redirect you down this way. All right, on this part up here on the nose, yeah, it should work. Up here on the nose, the way the sheeting is going to come across, the piece that they give you comes in here and sits just like this. So it comes up and then it terminates right back here. I want this to go all the way back here because this little former, my F3, is sitting in here, and I've got to modify, and I've already got it cut. I've got a modified F3 that's going to sit in front of it. So what's going to happen is this is the F3 already glued to the F4. So as this is going to sit in like this, straight up and down, this F3, so we're going to have this sitting here at an angle, and I don't know what the angle is. I can measure and tell you. But then this one is going to sit right in front of it, and this is going to be the rear part of the cockpit. So this is how everything, so that way when it has to come off, when it rotates up, it'll pull away from it. So that's how that's going to happen. But I want to have this piece, 1/4 inch, go all the way to the back, because I want this piece to sit on it or to attach to the back of it. Either it might just attach to the back of it. That'll probably be the best way to do it. So what I did, dug through my little stash of 1/4 inch, and I've got a piece that's more than long enough, and it's a little bit thinner than this piece, but when you put it on top of the fuselage, it's still wider than the fuselage, so you're going to be shaving it off anyway. So, all right, so that's change number 1. And I think that's all we really need for the front. So anyway, so that's change number 1. Now, let's go over to change number 2. Okay, the changes I want to make to the back. This is where it's going to get kind of funky. I'm going to have the tail wheel come off of here and out, so that's going to be my added weight. The rudder will probably stay the same. If I wanted to, I can make another one, or if I wanted to, I could just drill some holes in it just to take some weight off. So it may possibly have holes in it, so that's no big deal. This part here will most likely disappear. This piece right here, this beam, it's the leading edge of the dorsal fin. This will stay part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and this will be where the fuselage comes across here, because this is the top part of it. And I'll show you when I'm working on it what I'm going to do to this. I'm taking weight out of this piece of balsa. So let me just show you now. Okay, this is the piece of balsa. I don't want you to fall. There we go. This is a piece of balsa, and you can see it's a 1/2 inch thick, and it's a bunch of weight. Excuse me, a lot of weight back here. So what I'm going to do is when I take this, before I put it in, I'm going to cut a certain section of it off. I may just go ahead and hog it out a little bit, so because I don't need the 1/2 inch. I could probably make do with a 1/4, because this does not have that much structure. It's got structure holding the rudder up, but I don't need all of that. I can take a certain section of that out and not have an issue. So even if I came in and made it like a C shape, so it came down and then went back out again, so I had contact point at the bottom, contact point at the top, and 4 inches, 4.5 inches long, there should not be a problem. So that's what we're going to do with that. So this piece here is it. Sorry about that. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to have this piece of the dorsal fin up front, and then across the top we'll put in some probably 3/8 or 1/4 inch square. So it'll be balsa across the top, and then this part here can be the same piece of this. If I wanted to, I can have the vertical grain sitting up and just have it cut off so that it's short, so that it only comes up to here. So have it sit about 1/2 inch proud. That way I've got good attachment point there, and it goes to the bottom of the vertical stabilizer. Then what I could do is have balsa, have a 1/4 by 1/4 here. I'll probably do a 1/4 by 3/8 on the top, and then I could take another piece of 1/4 by 3/8 and put it across the middle, and done. So that will be how the excuse me, still getting over cold. So that will be how the vertical stabilizer is set up. So all this balsa that's gone will remove weight. Like I said, I could do something with the rudder, but I'll probably leave it the way it is. Now, when we come back to the tail, here's where it gets really funky. Okay, so with the tail, this is the way the tail comes, and it's designed to be put together from this. What it is they shorted you pieces, and then with this little piece of 1 inch by 1/4 is supposed to become the ends. And yes, this will stop cupping from happening. But on my de Havilland DH71, I wish I still had the horizontal stabilizer. When I put my final coat of nitrate dope on the silk span on the top, it cupped, and it basically took the end tips on the outside, the rear tips, and bent them down at an angle like that. So I ended up having to cut the whole thing off. Now, even though you're going to have this here to stop it, I don't need all of this weight back here. This whole thing, it doesn't weigh much, but it'll be gone. It'll just be, I'll be cutting this into, ripping it into strips. So what I'm going to do on the front part here, I'm going to go ahead and probably take about a 1/4 inch off this. And then if I really cared to add more support to it, I've got some 30, gotta look at this one, 14 thousandths carbon fiber. So it's really thin, but if I glued that along the straight edge on the back, that would hold that thing from wanting to flex down. So this may get ripped across, and this may go on there, and it might not. I haven't decided yet. So this will go on, and then I just need to figure out what I want to do with this one, because do I want to have a big piece, and I probably will have a big piece on the end. I probably will do a big piece on the end, because they want, the way they want you to sand this, it's gonna need a thicker piece. Then I'll just come across all the way across the back side of this and up with just a piece of probably 1/4 by 1/4 stock, and then just do 1, 2, and have a bigger piece in the middle, 3, 4, and then we're done. So this will remove a considerable amount of weight. It's going to be, I'm figuring, probably somewhere about 0.8 or 0.9 ounces of weight, because when I weighed all of the balsa, it was almost 2 ounces. So I should be taking almost half of it out, because I'm removing about half the balsa. So the elevators themselves will stay the same pieces. It's a good wood, and this piece is really light, and I wish they were both this light. But I would not consider it a heavy balsa. It's good balsa, and it's solid. I mean, it's good, strong stuff. So I'm gonna hang on to this. It's almost contest level balsa, contest grade. So those will still get used. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do with that. Now I've got another option. I got too many options. If I wanted to, on the side of the fuselage, in the back, if I wanted to, I can come in with a Forstner bit and drill holes here and a hole here, and then just make an oval. So I can take wood out of the back of this too if I want to. I just have not decided if I want to do that. You know, I mean, that could be done at just about any time. I just haven't decided if I want to take that route. That was part of what I was thinking about today. So like I said, today was pretty much just a day of me down here trying to figure out how I want to go about doing the fuselage, because once I start on this, it's gonna probably take me about, with the little amount of time I get off, it's probably going to take me a couple weeks, at least 2 days down here in the shop. So what I will be doing is I will be starting on the bottom up front, and then I'm going to be coming up here on the top. Or you know what? I may just start on the top first. And now you know what? I'm going to start on the bottom, and I'll tell you why. Because once the bottom's done and sheeted, it doesn't have to be completely sanded to point. I can just get it so it's roughed in. But once you start working on the top and you get back here, you're not going to flip it upside down and do any work. So every once in a while, I'll think. So anyway, that is pretty much about it. So it's just going to be there's just going to be a lot of time. It's this little stuff that I love doing the most. Just because when you bash a kit, you know, you get to make it yours. It's, even though it came as a kit, I can almost guarantee you nobody's done one like this. Especially when I get with my little doodads taken care of. So anyway, that's about it. It's like I said, I didn't really get much done today. I just did very little bit of stuff. I worked on the plane for maybe, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half today, and that was it. So, and that was just the fuselage. So anyway, I will be back down here in the shop on Tuesday, because we got rain coming in, more rain. So, so let's see how much I can get done on the fuselage on Tuesday. I'll see you next time. I'm back down in the shop.